Welcome to the Fantasy Football Sackos podcast with your hosts, Jason Shellcross and Alex Krogh.
Let's go! Fantasy Football Sackos, welcome in. It's me, Alex Krogh. Jason is not here. He's at a conference in Denver, so it's just me flying solo. Coming to you live, recorded after the Falcons and Eagles wrapped up. Just wanted to let you guys know, with no Jason, that means you get me for the next, 15, 20 minutes or thereabouts. And I just want to let you guys know that we did it. We did it. And I'm not talking about getting rid of Jason. I'm talking about the NFL kickers breaking the record for most field goals ever in 1 week. We are at 75 field goals, which broke the previous record of, you guessed it, 69, set in week 16 of 2016. I also brought up passing touchdowns last week. Shout out to Skeels, who got mad at me for not giving him credit, who sent it to me. But here's more this week from Steve Palazzo on Twitter. Passing touchdowns through 2 weeks. In 2019, there was 105. In 2020, there was 110. In 2021, there was 110. In 2022, there was 105. In 2023, there was 86. And I had to make sure to wait until this Eagles-Falcons game was over so that Drake London just ripped my heart out on the league because the Eagles blew it for me. There are, you guessed it, 69 passing touchdowns so far in 2024, getting in all of the jokes early. I think that's the last reference. Also, want to let you guys know that this week's episode is brought to you by Bridge CPA. Do you need an accountant that's more reliable than Cooper Kupp? Are you sick of being let down by your CPA, just like Caleb Williams was his offensive line Sunday night against the Texans? Instead of your accountant being like Justin Tucker from 50 yards out and being unreliable, you need a CPA like Brandon Aubrey, who's just money. And speaking of money, the Sackos believe you should rely on Bridge CPA for tax and bookkeeping services so that you can save yours. If who you are using your taxes for isn't elite like the Saints offense through 2 weeks, maybe it's time for you to let them down, just like the Cowboys do their fans in the playoffs every year. Bridge CPA was created by me. We geared our business towards small and mid-sized businesses that need help staying in compliance with the complex tax laws and keeping your accounting records in order. If that's something that you're in need of, go to bridge-cpa.com to learn more. You can get in contact with me there. Let them know that the Sacco sent you, which is really just me. So Bridge CPA is here to connect you to financial success. Again, that's www.bridge, BRIDGE-CPA.com. Reach out to me. I can help you out. It's week 3 waivers, and if you have a roster that does not have an injury at this point, you are just like, I don't know how that's possible. It's a shit show. So I tried to go through and pull all the current injuries and just thought it'd be, I don't know if fun is the right word, but just wanted to just bring them all out. It is pages long already, and it's only week. We're done with 2 weeks. It's just wild. So Amon-Ra St. Brown had a lower leg injury. Dan Campbell said he's going to be good. It's a soft tissue injury, which kind of worries me. He was forced out at the end of the game, missed the last 5 plays. They're expecting him to be available, but who knows? So something to pay attention to. Justin Jefferson, he went out in the third quarter. He's listed as day-to-day. Kevin O'Connell said that he came in the team facilities today and, quote, is feeling pretty good. So something to keep your eyes on there. A.J. Brown was ruled out early Sunday morning, which I feel like was almost like an NFL make-good after Christian McCaffrey was ruled out late Monday night. So he's going to be out a couple weeks with a hamstring injury that he pulled at practice on Friday. Isaiah Pacheco, he's slated to undergo surgery on a fractured right fibula. So he's going to be out at least 6 weeks per Ian Rappaport. That's brutal. Christian McCaffrey, calf / Achilles / old, I guess. Likely to be out 6 weeks or potentially more. He's out for the foreseeable future. Deebo Samuel hurt his calf late in Sunday's loss against Minnesota. And there's reports that he's going to be out a couple of weeks. So, maybe somebody for like Juwan Jennings to step up there. Joe Mixon got dinged up against the Bears with the hip drop tackle. He came back in, but who knows? Like, that looked really nasty and almost seems like a similar injury to what Mark Andrews had last year, and he missed a couple weeks. So I would be keeping my eye on that. Cooper Kupp, he also hurt his ankle. He's out an extended period of time, expected to go on IR. Same with Puka Nacua, who's already there. Rashad White suffered a groin injury. It's not considered major, but something to keep your eye on. Kenny Walker, oblique injury. He was inactive. Evan Ingram, they thought he was close to playing with a hamstring injury. He's week to week. T. Higgins, he still hasn't played, hamstring injury. Keenan Allen has plantar fasciitis in his heel. Bryce Young. Oh, wait, sorry. He's just bad. My bad. Jordan Love, MCL sprain. They're targeting him to come back week 5, are the Packers. Jake Ferguson was apparently close to being close to playing this week with his knee injury. They're hoping he's back this upcoming week. Tua, scary-ass concussion. I feel like that was a lifetime ago already, last Thursday. I hope, personally, he never plays again. That's just awful. Very like Steve Young-esque, where he just kept getting concussions and coming back. We just know so much more about it. So just some scary stuff. And one of the worst parts about, watching football on a week-to-week basis is seeing that kind of stuff. Raheem Mostert missed Thursday with a chest injury. There really hasn't been an update since. David Njoku got hurt. He hurt his ankle against Jacksonville. Keep your eye on that. Nick Chubb, he's still out from last year. Jonathan Brooks is on the non-football injury list. J.J. McCarthy had season-ending knee surgery. Jordan Addison missed week 2. They're hoping he's back after coming back from his ankle injury. T.J. Hawkinson, they're hoping he's back after their week 6 bye, are the Vikings. Hollywood Brown's out for the year with a shoulder injury. So, I mean, that was like, 3-4 minutes of just going down the injury list. And so many of those guys are people that were drafted high, and it's just a mess. So who are we targeting? It's a good question. So I think the big injury on the week that is, easily identifiable to replace is with Isaiah Pacheco going down, with him missing the next, 6-ish weeks. Carson Steele, who Kansas City fans love, he's kind of the next guy up. He, got the goal line carry at the end, but I'm just, I have my reservations with this. So he, like Samaje Perine's still there. They brought him in specifically. He's more of a, catcher out of the backfield. It sounds like the Chiefs are bringing in Kareem Hunt for a visit tomorrow. So it would not at all surprise me if they signed him. It kind of feels like a coin flip at Atlanta, at the Chargers, home against New Orleans, then bye week at San Francisco, at Vegas, home against Tampa Bay. Like, it's just a fine schedule, but they're just going to rely on Mahomes. So, like, I think of everybody, I'm probably, if the Chiefs sign Kareem Hunt tomorrow, he's the guy I'm going to put a 0 bid in and hope I win it. I'm fine with putting 0 bids on all these guys. I think that they're just so close and it's a coin flip. I don't think they trust Carson Steele at all. And that's why they're bringing in all these other people. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has some sort of like PTSD thing. Otherwise, like, he'd be the clear ad, but he's out the first at least 4 weeks, I believe. So maybe he's somebody that you could add for free as well. So he's on the non-football injury list. So that makes him out the first 4 weeks. and somebody that maybe you could bench stash because he's IR eligible right away, and would not maybe it would not be surprising for one of those 4 guys after week 4 to be one of the load carriers there. I mentioned Juwan Jennings earlier. He with Debo out, he's only rostered in 1.4% of leagues coming into this week. He had 5 targets week 1, caught all 5 of them against the Jets. He had 4 targets, caught 2 of them against Minnesota. I'm thinking they're going to rely more on Ayuk, but if Debo's out for a couple weeks, Juwan Jennings can be added. Talked about both of the Rams wide receivers being out. Demarcus Robinson come on down. You're the next contestant on which Rams wide receiver can get hurt next. So Demarcus Robinson finished the season well last year. He had double digits, I think, in 5 of 7 or something like that to wrap up the season. He had 7 targets week 1. He only had 4 against Arizona in that blowout on Sunday afternoon. So he's got 6+ points at half PPR both of the weeks here. He's rostered in 33.6% of ESPN leagues. No Kupp, no Nakua. Not the greatest matchups coming. Home against San Francisco, at Chicago, home against Green Bay, then a bye. But they don't really have anybody else. So, Stafford's got to throw to somebody if he can somehow stay up behind that offensive line. Deshaun Watson is an awful person, and will continue to say that. But Jerry Jeudy, who arrived to Cleveland in the offseason via trade, he's been okay. So week 1 he had 8 targets. This past week he had 6. Nothing really to write home about. He did have 5 catches for 73 yards. But the reason why I bring him up, and I guess all Browns players, is for their schedule in the next couple weeks. So home against the Giants, at the Raiders, at Washington, at Philly. So I'm happily picking up Browns. And speaking of the Browns, annoying for Jerome Ford managers, D'Onta Foreman came out of absolutely nowhere after playing 1 snap week 1. He had 14 carries, had both red zone carries for the Browns. He caught a pass. He outtouched Ford 15-8. He only had 5 fewer snaps than Ford did. It's just awful for Jerome Ford managers who thought they were going to have a pretty good ride until Chubb came back. But that's apparently not the case, and it was the D'Onta Foreman show at least a little bit. He's owned in 1.9% of ESPN leagues. He had a little stretch with the Bears last year where he went berserker. And so if you're going to tell me he's getting goal line carries against the Giants this upcoming week, I can handle that. Rico Dowdle, he should be owned more. He's rostered in 37% of ESPN leagues. He got the start this week for the Cowboys, and that's not why they lost. But so he got the start. He outtouched Zeke 11-8. It was a blowout, but again, he outgained him. He looked a little more explosive. People were hoping and guessing that he was going to kind of take over. The fact that he's only rostered in 37% of leagues, you should go pick him up. Maybe worth even spending $1 or $2. Not great the next couple, 2 of the next 3 weeks, I would say. Home against Baltimore is not great, but Baltimore just gave it up to the Raiders pretty good. At the Giants is great. At Pittsburgh is not. Home against Detroit is fine. Longtime Sacco's favorite here, Cam Akers, after Joe Mixon got dinged up. He rushed 7 times for 32 yards, caught his only target for 3 yards. He lost a fumble against the Bears. He got some after Mixon went down, Mixon kind of came back. Dameon Pierce had a hamstring injury, so he did not dress. So I don't know if Dameon Pierce would have played over Cam Akers. My guess is yes, but if Dameon Pierce is still out, I think both are addable at this point to see kind of what happens with Joe Mixon as the week goes on. Rashid Shaheed, he's only rostered in 63%. I know we try to keep it under 50 here on the waiver wire, but he's been amazing. 81% route participation, 23% target share, 46% of the Saints' air yards have gone to Rashid Shaheed, who has been awesome. I don't really understand why they're so much better this year. Rashid Shaheed is currently wide receiver 4 on the year. Hard to not start him. He only has 9 targets though, but he catches bombs. He's Deshaun Jackson reincarnated. I'll keep going with that. So he's somebody that should be rostered. Boomer bust. Got Philly this week. Philly just gave it up to Drake London after kind of dominating Kirko for most of that game. Random ass running back corner. Bucky Irving, 29% owned, 16 carries through 2 weeks. Clear backup for Rashad White, who I mentioned being dinged up. Tyler Algier, just under 50% owned. He's somebody that is just annoying if you're a Bijan Robinson owner. 9 carries, 53 yards on Monday night. Had a catch for 12 as well. So somebody that you should be adding. Braylon Allen, youngest person to score an offensive touchdown since 1950. 7.4% owned for the Jets. Got in the end zone twice, once on the ground, once through the air. I feel like that's probably a 1-week wonder, but somebody to keep your eye on. Tank Bigsby, rostered in 15.3% of leagues. He got dinged up on a kickoff. Seems like he's the clear number 2 for the Jaguars. Ty Chandler, he's 46% owned. Been super involved. He put together 10 carries for 82 yards against the 49ers. Aaron Jones lost the fumble, and then he kind of came on for the Vikings. This is rough. Jason's not here, and I have a dry throat all of a sudden. Hunter Henry had 12 targets. That's really all I'm going to say. If you need quarterback help, Derek Carr has been unbelievable. Geno Smith's out there. Justin Fields, I feel like they've kind of been, reining him in. He's had a couple big passes called back. Sam Darnold has looked passable. Gardner Minshew has looked fine with Bowers and Adams dealing. Malik Willis gets rushing yards. I trust their coaches. So all good there. If you're looking for defenses to stream, the Seahawks have the Miami Dolphins at home. Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley, who they just picked up off the practice squad from Baltimore. They're playing in Seattle. It's a good matchup. Packers at Tennessee. Will Levis. If you ask his coach, he apparently doesn't know what is going on. So the Packers are only owned in 5.7% of ESPN leagues. They have 5 interceptions through 2 weeks, and they will have at least 6 after week 3. The Bears defense looks amazing. I know they lost to the Texans, but they're 35% owned. And even if you don't love them this week against Indy, that's fine. After that, they have 3 straight home games against the Rams, Carolina, and Jacksonville. So worth the stash there, even though Blandy Dalton might try to have a revenge game against them here in a couple weeks. But I do like the Bears defense going forward. They're very opportunistic. So as a friendly reminder, for some reason, there's 2 Monday night games next week. So plan your rosters accordingly. Jaguars at Bills, Commanders at Bengals. Just wanted to alert you to that fact. And we got a nice, quick 20-minute pod this week. So congratulations. Hopefully your teams are doing okay. I know that you want to go out and spend fab if you are, in rough shape. There's a ton of injuries. If I'm spending fab on anybody this week, it's probably Demarcus Robinson. If you're hurting a wide receiver, Rico Dowdle is probably somebody to spend a couple dollars on. And then again, flip a coin between Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, Kareem Hunt, Donta Foreman, I guess, is addable too. So, scour those waivers. Best of luck in week 3. And Jason will be back next week. Thanks for listening, and have a good one. Peace.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football Sackos podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter @the FF Sackos.